Minutes after 8 here on the AM show. Our show is brought to you by Mixi Coffee. Now, employers in Ghana admit that looking for people with technical skills for the industry is rather very difficult. Certain specific technical skills are also non-existent, and sometimes we also complain that the technical vocational schools are not well equipped as well. But we all do know that in times like this, I mean, everybody is talking about how difficult the times are. And certain people have said that we need to get 2 jobs at least if we want to survive in these times. And I am thinking, if you have to get an extra job, it has to be a skill, especially if you're limited to working in the office. So today, I wanted us to discuss technical vocational skills. I have a perfect example that I want us to all learn from, if you like copy, which is not a bad thing. So I'm joined this morning by George Ferguson Lane. He's coordinator communications at CODVET, and CODVET is the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training here in Ghana. And Tony Senea is a shoemaker. I can just say that. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Okay. So you are, like a popular person now. Certain people may have forgotten how you started, but I just want to ask you what you started with.
I don't have a technical vocational background. I read sociology from the University of Ghana. But I got into shoemaking in 2009 when I was buying from a local manufacturer at La Paz, as the president mentioned. He was somebody he had a shop in the area in my house. So after work, I'll go and sit by him and have a conversation. I'll pull up design from the internet and ask him, Master, wait me away. Then say, we did cuckoo crab. When my service was just about to end, I ordered for a pair from him. I took it to work and my colleagues liked it. They were surprised that national service personnel, how much are you being paid to be able to afford this kind of shoes? And I told them it was locally made. So they started ordering through me, but the breakthrough came when a friend at PwC ordered for a pen. Eventually, all his colleagues wanted it. Then I realized that it didn't matter to the Ghanaian where the shoes were coming from, provided it was of top quality. I also realized that there were...
Do you still hold that same view?
Yes, I do. And I also saw that there were some young people out there who are doing so well, yet nobody knew about them. It was just a matter of hand to mouth that they were doing. So the idea was to bring these people together and make a huge commercial viability of their skills and talent, and also move Ghanaians away from the patronage of second-hand products.
Okay.
So that was a brief genesis of how Horseman Shoes came about, just to create employment, just to rebrand shoemaking, in Ghana.
The whole idea of you going on your own to do something that a lot of us would not think about doing, that is what excites me. But I want to know from you, George, can we also get into other areas as the training institutions are today? Can they also train us to be able to do other things?
Yes. I mean, when it comes to technical and vocational education and training, there's a wide variety of disciplines which the training institutions are offering. However, a lot of the training in the technical and vocational area is from the informal sector. About 80% of practitioners of technical and vocational training are people that have learned their trade in the informal sector. So by that I'm talking about learning from master craftspeople. So you want to be a shoemaker, learn from a master shoemaker. You want to be a mechanic, learn from a master. You want to be a hairdresser or a tailor, same. So a lot of the trades are being learned in the informal sector. But yes...
Is it a bad thing?
No, it is not.
Okay, because he learned on the job as well.
Yes.
Yeah. After talking to the shoemaker for a while.
And see, but later I had to rely on people who had learned it from their masters to bring them together and create a business out of their skills and talents,
I mean, there are challenges with the informal sector, because what it means is that if your master is not very skilled, he's passing on bad practices to you. So what we're doing as a council at CODVET is trying to improve the standards of the master craftspeople, and we're doing it through various interventions. We're doing a lot of training for them trainer of trainers. We have the National Apprenticeship Scheme, which we are using to train the masters.
Yeah, but how is that helping?
It's helping by raising the standards of the masters themselves, which obviously trickles down to the apprentices. So it's
So it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have to come to the classroom. I mean, you still can learn the way that we would do, except that now you're learning it, how do I say it? I mean, the people you're learning from have gotten some kind of education.
Yeah, that is correct, but that works for some trades more than others. I mean, technical and vocational training is a very wide area. For example, there are the more technical areas like manufacturing, if you want to be a machinist, and even car mechanics. It's getting more and more complicated every day. Most cars are electronic now. So if you're unable to use a diagnostic machine, you're going to have challenges dealing with some of the more modern cars that we have. So yes, the informal sector is very important, in fact critical, but the formal sector also has a very important role to play. And there as well, we are building their capacity.
So let me just ask Tony, do you see the technical vocational schools that we have today as capable of training people to become you, for instance?
Flatly, I would say no, because it is facing a lot of challenges, and one of the main issues that I have identified is the issue of that is the perception that it is for people who couldn't make it to the sciences. So already these guys go, they're already demoralized, and they don't even see the prospects after school. Let me even take KNUST. I have been to KNUST Leather Works department, and I asked the lecturer, do you know where students who passed out of tech 10 years ago, do you know where they are now? What are they doing? The guys who did metal works at tech, where are they now? Then we come to the KTIs, the ATTCs. We don't even keep track. I think most of them go there without any plan to progress after the training. They go there mainly because they couldn't make it to the grammar schools. So
they want the certificates so they can move on.
Exactly. Oh, they went to me and call Preseka, you go to ATTC. It's also good. We don't have a very structured plan for them. And surprisingly, governments after governments always mention TVET in their manifestos and programs, yet it doesn't go beyond it. The president also mentioned it in his State of the Nation address when he said that we have to rebrand it. And I think that is where we have now. And even going forward, it is a societal thing. How do you perceive your mechanic, your plumber, the carpenter?
Wait, no, I think we respect them these days. Seriously. Because without the mechanic, I mean, if your car breaks down, there's nothing you can do. I mean, so I think we realize how important they are.
That is the starting point. If we start giving that respect, and if on their side also start carrying themselves well, this is what I want to do. If somebody is playing for $100,000, this is also my World Cup. Then people from the informal education can go into it. And I must say that when people ask me whether I'm successful, it is not how fat my bank account is, but the inspiration I have given to other young people who have also started shoemaking, even though they have formal education. When we take fashion, now people are moving from I am a tailor, I am a seamstress, to I'm a fashion designer. They are rebranding it, and it is becoming more appealing. That is what we should look at when we talk about the Technical and Vocational Training Institute.
So you're thinking branding. Okay.
Branding and perception and orientation, that it is not for people who are weak in mathematics or who are weak in English.
But I am beginning to think that it should be they themselves changing these things.
When you see
we would think all we can, but how do they take it? How do they handle it?
No,
I mean, if you're going to a technical vocational institutions, are you going, with your shoulders up high? Are you excited that you're doing this course that you're doing?
Okay. Do you know the reason why we did technical drawing, technical skills and vocational skills in school? Did you do it when we were in junior high school?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily like this, but...
Okay. I was told that the rationale was that by the time you finish GHS, your head teacher would have identified your strength. that, oh, Mama V, you are good in vocational, so don't go to Wesley Girls or don't go to a vocation and go and top it up, go and further your education in that area. That was the reason why we introduced it in our curriculum.
So can I say that perhaps this thing has failed not because we have not taken them seriously, but I think from the classroom from way back, because if what you're saying is correct.
So for us,
because no teacher told me that, Mama V, you're good at this.
We just want to make up the ones
this is the line
go to.
for you to go.
It hasn't failed. I agree that there's a perception issue. Over the years, it's been a matter of you're not too good, so go and learn a trade. It's changing, and it's changing fast. I mean, we're realizing that people are going through the normal grammar school education. They're going through to university. They're coming out with degrees, and there are no jobs waiting for them. I mean, it's common today to be at home after earning your degree for 3 to 5 years. It's very common. The jobs aren't there. On the other hand, in the technical and vocational sector, there are jobs that we can't fill. There are jobs we can't fill in manufacturing. There are jobs we can't fill in the extractive industries. And what are we doing? We are actually having to bring in expatriates to do these jobs. So, I mean, it's a matter of sensitizing the public that, I mean, technical and vocational education and training is a viable career alternative. And we're doing that. We're addressing.
Why don't we incorporate it into the universities, for instance?
The polytechnics.
I mean, that's what the polytechnics are doing. And
but we all do know, and I think I've been here before, we know that the problem really is that they're not well equipped. So if you went through a vocational training institution, you may come out with no skill.
It's changing. I mean, I agree that equipping our technical institutions and polytechnics is a challenge. I mean, it's easy to train somebody to be an administrator or to do political science or any of those theoretical subjects. With the technical subjects, it's extremely important that during the training, it's as hands-on and practical as possible. So it means that you need schools that are well equipped, where the equipment in the workshops and laboratories are as close to what are being used in industry as possible. So if you don't have that in the institutions, then there's going to be a problem with the graduates you have. How are we changing that? We've introduced a new form of training called the competency-based training model. And what we're doing with competency-based training is that even at the stage of curriculum development, it's not just the institutions that are building the curricula anymore, but they are actually doing it together with industry. Industry comes to the table, they say that these are the kind of competencies we need in your graduates. So that is taken into consideration when they are building the curriculum.
Is this a plan, or this is something
this has been successfully piloted at Accra Polytechnic. It's been successfully piloted at ATTC and also the NVTI piloting institution. So we've started rolling it out nationwide.
Which specific areas?
So we've done it in mechanical engineering. We've done it in machinery.
Okay.
It's about 4 areas. And the reviews are fantastic. I mean, if you go to Accra Brewery right now and you talk to the HR department, they will tell you that the graduates that underwent the competency-based training that they've got now, super. Some of these people went on what we call workplace experience learning. Traditionally, we call it industrial attachment.
Okay.
Some of these CBT...
So by changing the names, I mean, does it add anything to it?
It does.
Does it add any
it's
value
different
to
because industrial attachment, you go to the industry decides what they want to do with you. If you're lucky and you have a good supervisor, you get hands-on experience. If not, you spend your whole 3 months buying watching for other workers or running errands. With workplace experience learning, you actually go there with a structured plan, which has been agreed by the institution as well as the industry.
Okay.
And those that we piloted with the CBT, after internship, industry wanted to keep them. I mean, it was a struggle getting them back into the institutions to actually finish their course. So there's a huge bright light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to take us a bit of time to get there, but a lot is being done.
So, I mean, this sounds very exciting. So, Tanya, why aren't people still ready to go through the technical institutions? You can still do vocational training and then go to the university.
Sure, you can. Yeah, but as George said, it is changing, and I also admit to that fact, especially being in the industry. You know, you go to places, you go to events, and you meet other young people who have started something in that area. I have a friend from KNUST who is now dealing in machinery. You know, they are repairing caterpillars, bulldozers. He read mechanical engineering. He worked around at the banks. I mean, working in the banks. Later, he realized that he has to come back to his roots. You know, so I think what is really helping is now a lot of attention is coming onto the Technical and Vocational Training Institute, and that it is the only way out of this economic situation.
Exactly.
The corporate environment is choked. People have to start working with their hands.
I mean, apart from the fact that it's choked, you don't even get enough money there.
Exactly. Now you have people doing beads, jewelry, fascinators, and all,
bead bags
and all that. I mean, it is changing. As I agree with George, the tunnel, the end of the tunnel is a bit brighter now.
Yeah, but you still need a certain amount of money to start off a business. How much did you start with?
I started with 200 cedis.
200 Ghana cedis.
200 Ghana cedis, and then I would order for 3 pair of shoes, pay for 2, go and sell, and come and pay the balance. You know, it is a myth that needs to be demystified, that you need some colossal amount of money to start a business. This is never true.
Do you need a shop to start?
No, when I started 4 years ago, I didn't have a shop. I ran the street of Accra and Kumasi with a very big backpack. You know, so when you call me, where can we find horseman shoes? I tell them, you can't find us, we will find you. You know, we encourage them to go on our websites, our social media pages, place an order, then we will deliver. I'm sure that is through the same medium I delivered a pair of shoes to you for your husband. You know, and people must believe in starting small. That big and fanciful,
and think outside the box.
Exactly, because I didn't.
How do you make the connections? You have a lot of media friends. Has it always been like that?
Well, it is what I call social capital. You know, things that you get, that money you services that you get. Ordinarily, you have to pay for them, but because of your networks, I wasn't born into the media. I have never been a media person, but it is a relationship that I courted. You know.
So, George, do you teach students, for instance, how to network, how to get people, how to get attention to what they're doing?
We've revamped the whole curriculum. We've introduced entrepreneurship training, and it's all this kind of stuff is embedded in that. Before the end of the year, we're introducing an entrepreneurship program. It's going to be something like a competition where we're going to have incubators with students coming up with business ideas, students in the technical institutions coming up with business ideas and competing to see which can actually break into the market. It's just part of our drive to get them to think more creatively and think about the market, because we're training them for the market. So we need them to start thinking about the market that they're going to be entering into once they graduate. So that is also being introduced.
Yes, to add to that, it is very important. When I was growing up, you watch news and a news item will come out that 20 seamstresses have been trained and they've graduated.
Yeah,
graduated to what? I mean, look, it is not enough. Now your sewing skill is not enough to get you out there. So I am a beneficiary of SDF fund, and in our first training we brought together some shoemakers and we train them in customer care and marketing. You know, so moving away from that conservative nature of sitting at your shop, just people walking, do for me 2 pairs. Now they have to move out. How do you even sustain the customers that you have? So it goes beyond a skill into running a business professionally. And when I meet young people, I tell them, apart from a business idea, you have to develop other competences. You know, sitting here, because I'm sure I have that verbal communication skills, so I'm here doing justice to the subject and also promoting myself out there. So it goes beyond just getting the skill. They should develop other competences.
Do you still need the basic education, George?
Definitely, you need it. I mean, it's important. I mean, if even you're a hairdresser, you should be able to read the instructions on that.
The cream that you're applying to the hair, for instance.
If you're a mechanic, you need to be able to read. You need to be now able to use the computer and diagnose the
But
problem.
you know, there are some people who simply don't like the classroom. Like, classroom is not their thing.
The truth is, in the modern world, you're not going to be able to be a professional without the basic education. It's simply not possible.
Is it just the speaking of it, you know, of the language and being able to read? Is that what we're looking for? Because I'm thinking, can't we have other ways of communicating?
The whole outlook, the whole attitude, the whole ability to communicate with your clients, it's important.
I mean, even how to use simple technology like the smartphones, you know, a computer. Not the hardcore, but just the basics. How to send a picture, how to download, you know, those things you must have.
Is technical training or education expensive?
It's expensive in terms of the infrastructure that we need to put in place. So, as I said earlier, you need the equipment. If you're going to train people properly, then they should be spending 70% of the time in the workshop, 30% of the time doing theoretical work. That makes it expensive.
Okay. But going to the school for the individual,
it's most of the best ones are government run, so they are subsidized. So it's not that expensive. It's not as expensive as getting a private university education, for example. And we are also helping out needy students with bursaries. We just launched the bursary scheme 3 weeks ago. We're sponsoring.
Is it one that the monies will come, you know, consistently? Is it coming from government, for instance?
It's coming from government, partly funded by government, partly funded by the African Development Bank.
And it's SDF that is running it?
It's the project support unit of CODVET.
Okay.
So basically we are sponsoring 2,500.
That's a lot.
Needy, yeah, needy students.
For how long?
For the duration of their training. I mean, it depends on what discipline they are going into. So the 2,500 is for the informal sector. So these are people that are going to be learning from master crafts people. We're sponsoring another 1,550 students in technical institutions and vocational institutions, as well as polytechnics. And this is funding that is going to be carried through from beginning of the course to the end. And the monies are being paid straight to the institutions.
So who can assess it? How do you get people on scholarship?
We are running adverts. The applications forms are available online.
ABC application forms are online. I'm thinking, I mean, we're trying to change perception here.
Yes.
But the reality is, people who will really be interested in going, most of them can't go online.
Well, also, we have application forms at all district education offices, so you can physically pick them up there as well. But they are also online, and you'll be surprised. I mean, a lot of people are going online. I mean, because the target of this training is the youth. We're looking at youth between the ages of 15 and 35. It's difficult to find somebody in that age bracket that can't find their way around a computer these days.
Are we also picking individuals who learns their crafts not in the classroom, but people who are doing so well, except that they are not really established, and
they
we're
want
trying
to enter into the
and we're trying to make their stories known so that we can encourage other people?
Yes, certainly. I mean, we're starting a role model program. We're actually launching it in July, and the whole idea of the role model program is it's kind of like a road show. So we're going to have people like Tony, who have done well in the technical and vocational sector, who the youth can connect to, who they can relate to. And we're going around the country, we're going to talk to them, we're going to do career clinics, let them know what they need to get into the technical and vocational area, what kind of careers are actually available. Because
but you see, it's good that you have people like Tony be a part of it. But what I want to see really is persons who've also gone through the vocational training itself in terms of the school.
Certainly.
And who are successful.
There's a whole range
because
of
sometimes when you're talking to people and they see, oh, you went to a preparatory school and then you went to the university, you know, then they're like, okay, so my story is not like your story. You are fortunate. It doesn't even matter to them how you were able to pay your fees. What they care about is the fact that you went to a privileged school and they think their story is not the same as yours.
Yeah, but you went to a privileged school and you didn't decide to become a doctor or a lawyer. You chose to be a shoemaker. So that should tell you that, hey, this actually is or can be done properly a prestigious career.
No, there are a lot of them. When you go to some magazine, I mean, some of the rich guys in Kumasi are fittest, let me put it bluntly, are fittest at some magazine.
Yeah, but they were not born rich.
They were not born rich. So, I mean, they have gone through the mill, struggle on the streets, but now they are earning a living through vocation by fixing cars, you know.
I just want us to take a lot of inspiration from all these people around us. And now we're talking branding, but we want their stories to be known so that people can stop thinking about going to work in an office and doing the 8-to-5 job. Because I think now we all know that that can just fetch you little. Yeah. But let's talk about how do you move on from the technical vocational training institution? Once you're done, do you just set up or you continue the education from somewhere else?
I mean, you can set up on your own, and we are encouraging as many people as possible to set up on their own. We're trying to equip them with the skills that will enable them to set up on their own. We're encouraging people to take advantage of initiatives like the Skills Development Fund, which is there to improve businesses in terms of skills development as well as technology development. But you also have the option of working for someone. I mean, so there are loads of industries that need graduates from the technical and vocational sector. You can go that way, or you can set up on your own.
Okay, because I'm thinking that you may not always need 200 Ghana or less to start up, depending on what you're doing.
Exactly.
You may need a lot more than that.
Exactly, but well, George said try to encourage everybody to set up, but I also think that we can talk people into partnership depending on what you are doing, you know. So it should be a holistic approach. They should teach them entrepreneurship, you know, writing a business plan, how to go out looking for funding and all that. I think it is very, very important. Most of these vocations are not difficult to start. How much do you need to start bidding? You know, I have had young people come to me now. I'm promoting them. I wear their products. I help them. I give them contacts to sell to, and it is so nice when it is well made, and it's not so difficult selling. So they need that grooming professionally, and they should be given the business minded, the business mind to move away from just acquiring the vocational skills and rather making it commercial.
Have you been able to sell to the international world? I mean, anywhere apart from Ghana?
Yes. As I said, I have some euro in my wallet. You know, I sold to. They are mostly Ghanaians who live abroad, and I have had a lot of orders from around the world. But logistically, it's a bit difficult shipping in large quantities because you realize that you will end up paying more for shipping than even the cost of the goods. That is what we are working on now. But
what have they said is the difference between your Ghana-made shoes and their European shoes?
It is very difficult to tell. Let me tell you what. When we started, at a point, I went to boutiques to buy European shoes. We took it to the shop and ripped them apart and see how it is made. I think it became important when my guys introduced some metal somewhere, and I said, no, you can't do this. This is harmful. And they said, oh, boss, abrochation ebi wom. So I was challenged. I bought it. We tore it apart and realized that they had something they call shank. So it is work in progress. You know, we take feedback very seriously. Now we sell to clients who can buy shoes from any part of the world. But if they choose to buy your shoe, then you know you are doing something good. So when they wear your shoe and they tell you, no, I think that it is a bit harder here, I want it this soft, then these are feedback that we use to improve our product. And I must say that in terms of quality, we are really striving very hard to be the best.
Okay. So do you do follow-ups on the people that pass through the vocational training institution?
Yes, but remember that CODVET is not a training institution. CODVET is...
you're the council. You are the regulator.
Yeah. But yes...
Yeah, but as it is now, I think you are the closest to the institution, right?
Yes. I know some of them do follow-ups. And we're trying to encourage data collection and record keeping as much as possible. I mean, for example, we are just talking about how there are certain areas in which there are jobs available and not enough Ghanaians to fill them. So we're currently doing a skills survey. We're actually going to industry. We're finding out.
But you see, sometimes we say these things. There are a lot of places where they're not getting, no, they have experts. But is it because they are not getting qualified Ghanaians, or they simply want expatriates?
No. Often it's because the Ghanaians are not available. Yeah. And so what we are trying to do now is to identify those areas where there are jobs that do not have the requisite expertise, and then relay that information to the training institutions so that the training institutions are more responsive to the needs of industry.
Are we copying any country? Are we modeling all these things because have we seen somebody successfully do it and then we want to copy?
The German system is probably one of the most efficient, and even in Europe they are copying it. There's a huge...
So how's the German system?
There's a very close relationship between industry and training. I mean, industry takes a very active role in training, and that has worked perfectly for them. I mean, when you say Germany, is almost synonymous with quality, efficiency and quality.
German machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's like their football team.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
You know.
So that's what we're copying.
Yeah. So we're drawing a lot from the German system. In other,
I heard that Rwanda used, is it TVET you call it?
Yeah, TVET.
They've used it successfully.
Rwanda is also doing very well. Yes.
Is it CODVET going this way, or this is Ghana?
Interesting.
Is that
question.
our focus?
It's Ghana. I mean, CODVET was set up by Parliament of Ghana. Our legislative instrument was passed by Government of Ghana. CODVET's policies is government policy. This is the way forward for Ghana in terms of technical and vocational education and training. And CODVET is the tool, if I could use that word, that is being used to
sometimes I feel that there's a disconnect. You know, it's as if as a nation, this is not our heartbeats. This is not our focus. You know, it's just like we've set up institutions to regulate, but that's
not at this time, because the president just launched a Made in Ghana campaign.
You know, it's easy for you to launch and talk about it, but what is real, what is on the ground may be different. You get it? I would appreciate it if the things that you've shared with us, for instance, going around, taking people around to inspire others, and picking, even sending people to these craftsmen, the master craftsmen you call them, to learn from it. That's more practical. That's more like...
They are doing
of that.
Mama V, I am one cynic, you know, when it comes to these things, but I am a beneficiary, and I know what Cuthbert is doing. When my monitors come around, they tell me where they've been to, where they are going to, and I hear there's even bamboo and rattan in somewhere in Ashanti region that I am dying to go and see.
Bamboo and rattan.
Yeah, rattan they call it. I'm dying to go and see. So it is working. We just hope that they will maintain the momentum, so that within a specified time, we all will sprout out and, you know.
So with that said, is this sustainable? Is it a 4-year, I mean, is it the normal political period, or it doesn't matter what happens in 2016?
Interesting question.
Absolutely not. I mean, the GSTDP, under which we have the SDF, was started by a different government. We have a new government in place. It's ongoing. This is policy. This is not politics. So these are sustainable.
This is policy. It's not politics.
Yes, they are sustainable programs, and we're committed to seeing them through. And don't forget also that a lot of the investment in the TVET sector today is also coming from our donor partners: African Development Bank, Danida, World Bank.
We're still heavily running our things from donors.
That's the reality of being a developing country. But all of these projects have sustainability plans. They all have plans in place so that once the donor funding, or even before the donor funding dries up, there is funding to ensure that it continues.
Really?
And that's I think that is one of the unique things about Cuthbert. Yes.
Okay, because I'm just, once you said donor funding, once the funding has ended, what came into my mind really was the school feeding.
Well, I mean, that's a different agency.
But I also think that there must be a termination point. So I don't know whether, George, you get it. Cuthbert must have timelines that, well, let's run this in the next 5 to 10 years, 15 years, and this is what these are the results that we expect. Is there something like that?
Each of our projects has that inbuilt mechanism. Yes, we do. We do midterm reviews. We're going to do our long-term reviews, and monitoring and evaluation is an ongoing thing. We have a very vibrant and efficient monitoring and evaluation.
That I can assure you, man. They call every now and then.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes our beneficiaries say we're disturbing them, but we're just trying to make sure that the money is being utilized in the ways that they are expected.
It's very hectic, George. It's very hectic.
I'm thinking that one of these days I'll do a show from one of the technical institutions, because I want to see what is really happening, you know, in the schools.
I think you
should.
Okay. But I want to say thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for
Mama.
Tanya, you want to say something?
I'm still waiting for you to pass by and get the next pair of shoes for your husband.
How are you? Every opportunity is horseman. Okay, but thank you. And thank you for being a big part of the AM show this Wednesday. Roland Walker, myself, will be back tomorrow, God willing. Have a good day.